Hello.
Good evening, my name is Joshua Nardi, and today I'm going to talk to you about patience and communication within the workplace. Back in the 90s when I first joined the Army, communication was more of a one-sided event, oftentimes with yelling and demeaning and awful things said. We didn't think too much about it back then because, that's just what was expected. We weren't able to have a voice, and that was fine, and that's what we signed up for. But with today's society, things have changed a bit more. There's more demanded out of people. There's more about communication. People listen to the lowest person. They're not just thrown off to the side. So today I'd like to talk to you guys about the importance of patience and communication in the workplace, especially as a supervisor. Author Zorka Herford wrote about 4 steps to good communication skills in her article, Good communication skills key to any success. The first one is know what you want to say. Before you step into any room and you talk to anybody else, you got to know what you're going to say. Not only what you're going to say, but the intent of what you're going to say. When prepping for the speech, I went over and I wrote everything down. I wrote down my outline, then I wrote out my note cards. This helped me in preparation for what I was going to say, so I don't come out here not sure about what I'm going to say. Confidence is very key. How will you say it? The way I say what I'm going to say is important, just as important as the issue itself. Depending on your audience, depends on how you may put out the information. Sometimes your audience is very hostile and defensive, so you have to find some common ground to communicate before you actually start your speech in its entirety. Listen. Always listen, right? You listen to verbal and nonverbal communication pieces. All right, this will help you push your direction into the conversation in the direction you want to go. And then lastly, number 4, reach an understanding, agreement, or consensus. All right, you guys have to be on the same page when you leave. So if I have communication with a subordinate and I tell them, hey, this is what we need to do, I have to receive a confirmation that they know exactly what they're going to do, what the process is, and they agree with it. Because if they don't agree, they may not accomplish a task to the full capability. Fair and equal treatment. Fair and equal treatment is very key to a good working environment. Fair and equal treatment is something that, as a society, we have worked diligently to improve. Psychologist Frank Barron said, never take a person's dignity. It is worth everything to them and nothing to you. When treating people of any gender, race, religion, or whatnot, you need to treat them equally, fairly, to the point where there is no question about your ethical treatment of your subordinates. Support the Support programs that establish equal opportunity events, whether it's for gender or anything else. Even if you don't do anything bad yourself, if you don't support the programs, you're still going to cause an environment in which there may not seem to be fair treatment, right? Because you affect not only yourself and the people underneath you, but you affect everybody in your office as a whole. Training Magazine talks about leadership in today's workplace. What they talk about most is values, trust, and fairness. All right? Your values reflect you as a person, all right? Which also enables people to trust you. Forms of communication. There's many forms of communication. In the Army, we use counseling forms. We do verbal forms. We do punishments and everything else. Those are all forms of communication. But when you're communicating with your subordinates, there's always, you should always not only communicate about what they have done wrong, but you also need to communicate all the good things that they do. A lot of different companies use different forms. They do peer evaluations, they do performance evaluations, they do disciplinary actions. There's all different forms of it. The key to it is not just make it paperwork, but make it an open communication. Going back to the 4 steps to good communication, you need to be able to listen and come to a consensus. If you find something wrong with the person with something your subordinate is doing, you need to not only address that, but communicate a way to fix that and make improvements. Maybe develop a plan of action that would enable that person to fix the problems that they're having. Honest communication is built on truth and integrity and upon respect of the one for the other. Benjamin Mays. All right. Honesty is always the best policy. I know it's one of those sayings that everybody says, but nobody really follows. You know, being honest with somebody, whether it's, you know, honesty about their performance or honesty about how they're perceived, it's very important. When you are always honest with people, they trust you. Now, sometimes they may not want to hear what you're being honest about, especially when it's talking about negative things that you've seen in the workplace. But it's your responsibility to make sure that you are honest with them and you give them fair assessments. As society changes, so does our way of managing businesses. If you look at the businesses of today, they're completely different than the businesses of yesterday. So as society changes, so does the way of management of personnel. The past may have worked in the past, and may have been, you know, not too much wrong with it because society was different. Those of you guys stuck on the past need to understand that if you don't change, society's not going to change for you. You need to change for society. Gettysburg College said the average person works 90,000 hours in their lifetime. 90,000 hours. That's a lot of hours. A lot of people, you know, spend more time at work than they do at home. And, you know, the one thing that's going to make it worthwhile and everything else is if you get purpose and you avoid grief. Best way to do that is through patience and communication. My name is Joshua Nardi, and this is my brief.